We are online on YouTube.
Hello guys, so we are back again, our JS Trend channel where we post videos every week on the JavaScript. So we created this channel, to spread knowledge so that, everyone can come along and they can learn new things and what is happening in the JavaScript, because JavaScript is very dynamic. It is changing every week. So I hope you're liking our videos. So today the talk is on React Router. Atishay has prepared this talk and he will start soon. And I have Shivam Latava with myself. And Atishay,
Yeah.
you can start now.
Okay. So this talk will be focused on the latest version of React, that is React Router version 4. Some people call it as a browser router, some call it as a hash router. So these all mean the same. So lately, React guys have rewritten the complete code of React router. So earlier it was a static router, now it is a dynamic router. Let me share my screen so that I can share the document. So are you able to see my screen?
We can see a lot of screens actually.
Okay.
Yeah, that is fine.
So are you able to see this document?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you zoom in a little bit so that viewers can see easily?
Is it better?
That is fine.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay. So first of all, we should understand that why this router is different from the earlier versions of router, or even the router which we used in Angular or other frameworks like Ember or anything. So prior to version 4, the version 3 router was a static router. So when I say static router, it means that the router configures before your application starts or bootstrap. So even before your application is rendering, you have to define all your routes, that for which route which component should render, or what redux method to call, or like this. So this was a bit problematic and not adhering to the React fundamentals. So as we say that React is a very dynamic language, a dynamic framework. So as the components are rendering, React is getting executed. So the React guys have completely rewritten the code of the router, and it is now called as a React router. So now you don't have to statically define all the routes prior to the loading of the application. You can define it whenever you want, that this component should be binded to this particular route. So this is the React router. Also earlier, this React router, if you had to use React router, you have to npm install a couple of packages. Now everything is included in this single package, React router DOM. So in case if you are using React router for your mobile application, React native, so I think it is React router native, and if you are using for web, it is React router DOM. Now I will quickly show you how to include this router in your application. So when you have downloaded this React router DOM, so there are two methods which are available to you. One is this browser router, other one is the hash router. So browser router is more when you want to deploy your application on the server. If your application is more of a like client side application, then you use a hash router. Now inside this browser router, you have to give a components path which will be your main component, and your application will render inside this main component only. So you are not defining any route prior to loading of your application. It is a simple React component. It will render a browser router, your app will be rendered, and remember that you are only allowed to define a single component here. You cannot write multiple components over here. Now inside this app component, you can write your routing logic if you need, that you have to write a routing logic prior to the loading of the application, or otherwise you can write it anywhere. So that is the whole idea of dynamic routing. Then I will show you a simple POC. I did it for React router. It would be more clear. So are you able to see this old pen?
Yeah.
Okay. So here, because there were no server for me to render, so I used this hash router. So inside this hash router, I defined a simple component app, and this app would be having a couple of components, header and the main. So header, so if you see, my app is looking somewhat like this. So it is home, then there is a main component. So now in this header, I defined some router over here. Let me just reload the code. Okay. So now inside header, you will define your that for by default link, it will go to your render the home component. You define your routing. Maybe I think I have opened a different POC. Anyway, so now inside your main, you will write a logic that your code will render to that this particular route is executed. Your code will render, and this will show over here that this is main. When you click on home, this is home. So your main component will get segregated. So this code would look like this. I think I have opened a wrong document. Anyways, so I'll give you a brief idea. So in this main, what you will do, you will create a switch component. This switch component tells, it is a kind of switch case which you use in like normal C programming or normal Java programming. That when your path is this, and here you will define your routes like this. So this is my route component. You will define your routes like this. Route, then uh, path is equal to, let's say you want to create this as a default path. So you will write that when something is not rendering, render this, and you will define your component over here. So on my route, I want to render this home component, so I will write it over here. So no need of writing this now. Now
I have a question. What do you mean by exact in that?
okay. So just one more thing.
Okay.
Let me create a about also.
Atisha, are you not using your earphones?
Oh, you are hearing some feedback and echo.
Yeah, I'm hearing my voice back actually.
And just the feedback, guys, if we are not using microphone, so we can mute it so that less noise can be heard.
Yeah. So exact means that exactly match this route. So now if you haven't written exact over here, what it will do, if you are, if your route is matching to about, then will also render this route as well, because this is a base route. So even if you are rendering an about or anything, it will render. So the moment I have written exact over here, it will match exactly. If the route is matching to this, then only it will render, otherwise it will not render.
Okay.
Let's hope this works. Components like this. So you got the idea.
Yeah, you might need to close the switch component before the div. Yeah.
And do we really have to add switch? I mean, can we?
Yeah. No, you have to.
Okay, so
So
this is mandatory.
this is mandatory because you want to dynamically, the home is getting rendered. And now let me just create one more for about what is the ABOUT.
Okay.
Yeah, so now I think our app is working. Created the app, but I don't know where did I put it. Yeah. So we are using switch because if you see this app component, it is having a couple of things, header and main. So this one is your header, home, about, and this is your main. Okay.
Okay.
Now this main component is dynamic. So it is dependent on the route on which you are there. So that's why we are using a switch case over here. So
Okay.
whenever I am at this uh, my route,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm saying that by default render my home component inside main. So this thing will not get executed. So my home component is rendered. Now when I am here, my about component is rendered.
Okay. Can you show main? Okay.
Yeah.
So actually, your main is getting changed every time
Yeah,
when.
yeah, yeah. Correct, correct, correct.
Okay.
So you can refer to as like you have created a big application. Now there is a top level menu, and then there is some like body page. So this body page you want to change that. If someone is at home, my body page would be like welcome home, or some you will be showing something. When you are at the about page, this whole body will be replaced. So this is the idea of the react, like we are creating a single component but we are reusing it. So now you can like more iterate, you can create this about page, you can create multiple routes in this about page also. Let's say something, someone is at about xyz, then only render this component. Someone is at about abc, render this component. So this is the idea of dynamic routing.
Yeah, I got the point. What is the use case
Okay.
of the switch? Because inside one switch, we are defining multiple routes. So, what is the use case when I'll use another switch a component?
So another switch component you will use inside a, let's say, home component. So this is a use case when you are creating a nested routes. So let's say someone is at let's take a example of a social networking website. Someone is at a profile page. Now at profile page, someone clicked on your photos. So the route would be Shivam Latava slash profile. That would be your profile page. Now
Yeah.
slash photos slash videos slash audios, these will be the nested routes. So these sub components would get re-rendered. You got the point.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so there is a big container component, then there are sub components, these are also getting reused and re-rendered.
Right. So you mean inside the home component, I'll have a switch statement,
Yeah, you
which will
may.
have the photos, videos, or any section that I'll use.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay. 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 Good.
So you will write something like that, that if my path is slash home slash 123, then slash photos, then render my photos inside home. If the route is slash videos, render my videos. By default, you will render your home page and your, let's say there is a top level div. Should I code it over here, or we can?
No, it's clear. Yeah.
Okay.
So once you will click on any sub route, I mean any route which is under the home, so my
Mhm.
home component will not render. Only the sub components which are there are going to be rendered, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Home component will decide what to render.
So can
yeah.
you,
What?
I mean, put some light? I mean, I never used React Router
Uh,
previously. How that is different from
okay,
the one you are showing just
okay,
right now?
okay, great. So previously, if you have used router prior to version 4, the whole thing, the whole routing logic, you have to decide before bootstrapping your application. So I mean that here where we have defined this app component, this app component would be replaced by a big channel of routes. You have to define each and everything, that for this route render this, for this route render this, it is a subchild of this, it is a subchild of this, so that your application can create the logic prior to like rendering. So it was difficult from programming perspective also, because when you are starting an application, you never know that how many pages or inside a particular page what dynamic things you will create. Or sometimes your product manager may say that, yeah, we have created the photos page, but inside photos page I want a some route for all the light photos, all the, let's say, photos which are rated above 10. So then you can easily create these things inside your component. So this is adhering to React principles also, because React says that create all the light components and reuse whatever possible. So this is the whole use case. So earlier, if you want to add a route, you have to change all your routing logic. So it was becoming a lot difficult. So that's why React people rewrote this complete router.
Okay, man. I got you.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah. So let's come back to our now. To understand the working of React router deeply, we have to understand a history package. So when you do a npm install of a React router, internally it creates a history package. So in case you want to like check, you can go to the this your package.json, then see what are all the different packages this React router is creating. So the most important, the backbone of React router is history package. Now this history package is kind of a browser history which maintains like which all the routes you have visited, so that it knows how to re-render, how to like go back, what will happen if you click a back button. So how will your React remember that what thing I should render when this back button is created. So this history package contains three kinds of history. One is browser history, one is hash history, one is memory history. So we will be looking in the browser history in the deep. So this browser history is a kind of object which contains number of properties which are used for router. So one most important property is location. So this location is a reflection of your current state or current routing logic of your application. So this is somewhat like this. So this location package has a path name. Where are you? If there are some parameters, it has your hashed information. If you are using a hash router, let's say home hash xyz, if you have created a single page application, then the state of that particular page, then there is a key which it uses internally. Now the history package contains an array of these locations, so that it knows that what is the history of my complete application. So when you are at the home, there is just one object inside that array which is saying that path equal to home. When you go to about page, there will be a new entry in the array which will be saying that we have gone to an about page, and it will create a pointed link to your previous, that previously we were on the home page, now we are on the uh, about page, so that if you click a back button, or so React will remember that, yeah, I have to render this particular route, I have to re-render this component. So it maintains these things.
Yeah, I have a question on this. Is this object immutable? Like, can I add some more properties to this object? Like, if I want to store some information?
You can't do that, but React internally does.
I think the
So,
state is the property which the Shivam is
so this
referring to.
thing is not available. There is no API available at the developer, and you cannot mutate anything inside this history package. So React, for its own like easiness, uses this history package.
What if I have to pass
Uh,
any parameter to any state? I mean, add to any route.
You can do that. Parameter. What do you mean by parameter? You want to say that some name equal to Navtej?
No, no, that I can do that, but some internal parameters or state you can say that which is associated to any particular route.
Yeah. So the normally how you will do it in a component, you will simply write. You will pass a prop, then this prop you will map to the states. So this is the same thing.
So what is
how do
that?
we? Yeah.
The state which is equal to an object of model colon true. What is that?
This means that it is the same state which is of this component. So this React router, these all the routes are components only. So as your normal components has props or states, these also have states. So um, let's say that
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you are passing.
How do we access this location? Sorry to
You
interrupt.
can't. You
Oh,
can't. I'll tell you different things. How internally you do or how you can access this.
Mhm,
But this location object is for. I mean, I am touching the router internals
mhm,
so that we know that how router works.
mhm.
okay.
So you will never ever like encounter this anytime to change this location or something like that.
Okay.
So
Mm,
in case, so have you ever used this history.push?
Yeah.
yeah.
So this thing does that.
Okay.
Now this is the same thing. So what happens? This link component.
Mhm,
When you click a button, let's say I click the about button,
mhm.
this link component will get activated. Now this link component internally calls history.push.
Okay.
So this history.push will push this new path name equal to about inside your location array,
Mhm.
and your new page will get rendered.
And also my location array will be updated.
Your location correct array will be updated. There will be a new entry inside your location array. So this is a way you can yeah, you mutate this location array.
Mhm.
Now there is another thing, history.replace. So history.replace, when you do manually history.replace, it will not add anything to your array, but it will replace that particular route of the array. So all the links and your history will be gone. So you will not be able to, when you will click a back button, you will not be able to go back to the back page. So this thing is
Okay.
like if you have some redirections on your page, that if someone is getting landed to your home page, you want to redirect it to a new home page,
Mhm.
then you do a history.replace. So also React router uses these things internally.
Okay. So when I will be
yeah.
using React router, is there any kind of
Uh,
API or I will be directly accessing the window.history of method
no,
to?
no, 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 no. This link is doing that for you.
Okay.
You can access history object from the React router DOM package itself, I
Yeah,
guess. You must
you
have
can.
imported history.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do that. You can mutate your history, but this link is doing your job. If you want to do something, you can do. You
Okay.
have to import the history over here also. It is available in React Router DOM.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Uh, Now these are some couple of the properties of this history object. Now there is a very important method, listen method. So it is a observable kind of observable pattern listener. So when some it watches your location array, whenever is something is getting changed, it is watching your history package. whenever something is getting changed, it is re-rendering your component. Again, these all are the router internals. If you want to develop a React application with React Router v4, you don't need all these. These are the internals.
All right, man.
So I just wanted to like show how React Router is working internally. So when you clicked on your about page, your history updated, your location object got one more thing, the array updated, the listener was watching in an observable pattern. Now your listener knew that yeah, something has changed. This will call a method and it will update your re-render your logic.
Okay.
You got it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I think after understanding history, these are some things which we will be using. These are the APIs. So the APIs are routes which you will be using to build your application. You will define your paths. You will define your components to render. Then inside that there will be path. What route to render on what particular path? What is your current route? Then you are always like welcome to create your routes anywhere in your application, anywhere inside. Like this we have covered earlier also. Then there is a switch method, which if in case you want to like conditionally render the routes, which we depicted in our code pen demo.
I have
Then
one question. I mean,
yeah,
earlier in the initial of the video, you told me about when we are using the switch and we are not mentioning exact, then both of the route will get rendered. What was that?
okay. Let's remove this exact from here. Okay.
Okay.
Now let me click home. About. You see that this component is not getting updated.
But also I can see the about is not there.
About, I clicked about, right?
Yeah.
But this thing is not getting updated. It is rendering your home component because what is your route? Slash about, correct? You go over here. When
Okay.
React will
The
be matching, React will
first come. Yeah,
see
and
that
that is
slash
true, and
is
that's why.
there. Yeah, so that's why we write exact over here. So that if exactly this thing is rendered, so this thing is, I mean, more of useful when there are many subroutes. Let's say slash home slash Navtej Singh, then your Navtej Singh's page will be there, slash home slash Shivam Latava, Shivam's page will be there. So this thing is more of like when you have created some conditional switch cases over here also, then you have to put that exactly when it matches like home slash Navtej. So otherwise your every time if you do home slash Navtej or home slash Shivam, every time only your home package would get called. Your Navtej or Shivam components would never get rendered. So that's why we use exact.
Okay.
Now inside this router you can pass so 99% of the cases you will be using the components, but you are always allowed to use a render over here. So you can directly pass a render function over here. If you don't want to like go to a component, you can directly pass a render function and then you can pass the props or whatever like that. And there is one more thing which is rarely used. You can use children's also. So here if you want to do a children, then you can write a logic that if your props, you can pass the props to the router. If the props is matching to something, render my this page. If my props is not matching, render my empty page. Very rarely you will use. So people generally define routes only, components only. Some people use render method directly if that is a like use case for you, or you can use your children.
Also, how do we say I have to show 404 page? How will I cater that need? And
Okay.
also, if I have to show some fallback URL like we
Uh,
do generally, yeah. How do we do that?
yeah. So there are methods available. So like 404 page is something like if you have rendered to a wrong route, which is not available in any of it is not matching to any of the thing, then you can
Right.
probably write a, so this path you can write a regex that, or any logic you can write if your nothing is path is not getting matched to these things or any of the thing, then by default render my this route. So you can write a regex over here, and I'm not very sure if there is a otherwise method also, but surely there is a regex concept is there. So if you want to render something by default, you can put a regex over here that if something is not getting matched to any of my properties, render my default route. Or there would be something otherwise case also that by default render this.
Uh, okay, Atishi, I have a similar question like that. I mean,
Uh,
when we used to do coding in Angular, and there was,
uh,
the module which we
yeah.
can access in our JavaScript, and we can navigate to a particular route. How can we do that in React application? So you getting my point? I mean, you are making some request and somehow it gets failed, and you want to tell the user or navigate the user to the error page, and so that logic should be in the JS only, right? And
So
how can
you
we
have
do that?
so this is the same thing from our. You have, I mean, the user have landed to a wrong page. You want to show a 404 page or anything else?
I mean, I have a use case where I am doing some server calls, and
Uh
one of
huh.
the server calls are not working, and I want to navigate user when I get the bad response to the error page.
Okay.
I
So
mean, I
you
want to
can
change my route.
use history dot push or history dot replace. So whenever you have
Yeah, I
promised,
also
whenever
I
you have,
also send a link in the chat which says how to move to the error page. You can just open that, and also as you are you sharing your screen,
I stopped sharing my screen.
or I can share my screen because I have that open.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, Tej, you can put it in like the fallback of your promise that if my promise is getting failed, that backend response is not there, history dot push to your whatever route it is.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Can you
Yeah.
maximize it?
Yeah. See, there is a route says there are three routes, and it has defined three routes. And if there is
Oh,
a no match to any route, it will show you. You can decide what component you want to show for your route. It is basically you can show a 404 page which is in the no match component. And the page what you asked is if you have error you want to redirect to, you do history dot push and no match
mhm.
or something to this component.
And that history which you are referring is the module which
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
provided by the React router, not
yeah.
the
Correct,
window.
correct.
Yes,
So you
yes,
Okay.
have to
yes.
include that. So when you import your React router, you have to import the history package also if you want to mutate the history.
Okay. So I just simply has to do history.push
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatever the state where I want to, I mean, whatever the route where I want to navigate.
yeah. Correct, correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, right. Yeah, there is a beautiful documentation for
Yeah, yeah.
the
So
React
this
switch.
is maintained by React training. So earlier it was a part of React core only. So now they have created something like React training is maintaining this.
Mm-hmm.
So I also created
Mm,
my talk referring to this document.
Mm-hmm. So the talk
right.
is completed. I mean, is there anything
Yeah, yeah,
else
yeah,
you
yeah.
want to talk
So
about?
we have covered the like gist of the React router, how internally it works. So it is covered.
Okay. So you can just add this link which the Shivam shared us on the
Cool,
video,
cool. Yeah, we
so
will add
that
in the
user
chat.
can. Yeah.
Right.
So
I've shared that in the chat. Yeah.
okay. So nice talk. I mean, we came to know about the React Router 4,
Hmm.
and we covered all the use cases which probably developer going to find himself
Mhm.
in it. So
Yeah, I really like that how the React has changed the way of dynamic rendering, because yeah, as Atisha mentioned, it was really a big problem, because when you have to like design your application at the front, you have to design your routes rather than doing it inside the code, because when you do something, you decide that you have to redirect to this page, then you have to go to the front of the application and then do those changes. It's very good that they have done these changes and made it more dynamic, so that a user can actually do that in the code rather than going to the front of the application and
yeah.
maintaining all the routes there. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
really, yeah, a big change actually.
Yeah. So that is the reason. I mean, every month something new is happening in JS, and we are trying our best to cover those things. And we need your
Right,
support,
right.
guys. I mean, we are doing a really hard work here, and we will be back next week. And I, I think we should introduce ourselves to the viewers who are new. We didn't do that in the start of the video, so we can do now. So Shivam, we can start
Yeah.
from you.
Yeah, I can start. Yeah, I'm a developer in ThoughtWorks. I work on mostly the UI part of the things, also taking care of the backend stuff as well nowadays, and generally working on the latest technologies, including React Redux, and the backend includes Java, Cassandra, and reactive Java as well. I have around 3 years of total experience, and yeah, we decided to do this talk every week, so that we can have this knowledge, and we also share this knowledge that what new is happening inside. Yeah,
Yeah.
Navtesh, you can go ahead with your introduction.
And further adding, this is the guy who goes to Germany oftenly. Yeah. And Atisha, you can introduce yourself.
So I work as a UI developer with the Times Internet. So I'm taking care of the mobile website of Times Internet. My work is mainly related to this UI and all kind of stuffs. Um,
Yeah.
Other than this, I do some small side projects
Okay.
and updates.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy, handling a website which is getting millions of hits every day. So he's really taking good care of that. And I'm Navtej. I'm back after 1 month, and good to see you guys. And I want to share one news. Recently, we got 200 plus views on our tech video. We guys are so happy. Actually, we did a small party to celebrate that. And again, I
Yeah.
will like to tell you, I mean, support us, ask questions, give ideas so that, we can excel, we can do changes. And we are also learning, guys. And we have a very little experience, like 3 years. And but we have decided to spread this knowledge to everyone who want to learn new things. And so I'm right now working in Expedia. I'm the part of the CSE team which is taking care of the internal framework, which is UI toolkit. So in Expedia, every team is using that. Beside that, all the sub companies under Expedia is using that toolkit. So yeah, that's all about me.
So, do you guys have any picks, tricks, or
Frankly, I don't have any. I was so busy lately.
okay?
So, Shivam, can you?
Yeah, I have a small one. You must have heard about Screen Hero. I'm not sure if you have
I
it.
don't.
I haven't. I
Yeah,
haven't.
yeah. It's like a collaboration tool. What the tool says is, if you are working remotely and you want to have access to the other person's screen, you can join both by Screen Hero, and then you can access the other person's screen. Say me and Atisha are doing some work, and I'm sharing my screen, and Atisha can type on his keyboard, and it will directly reflect my screen. It will change my code rather.
Okay, great.
It's very good to remotely work, because in ThoughtWorks we work like in pairs. So we two guys work on one story. So it's very useful there, because it's like if one person is working remotely, then he can access my screen and directly make changes rather than sending commit messages or doing something.
Very important question.
Uh,
Is it free?
yeah, it's free.
Yeah, that is cool.
Put the
Yeah.
link in description.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we can follow.
definitely. I do that, and we can test it sometimes if we have.
Uh,
I use it daily on my projects.
Okay, guys, I have to go now. My dad is calling, so you can wrap up this. Okay.
so I
So
have just
bye,
a
guys.
small
Yeah,
pick also.
yeah,
So there is
yeah.
a React Native app Expo. So this Expo is again a code sharing tool. So this shares the code in your mobile and your laptop. So let's say you have developed a React Native mobile application. You want to edit. You looked in the mobile and you saw that something is not correct. You can inside your mobile you can change the code. So your code is shared in your mobile and your desktop, and that application is also created in React Native. So and very lightweight also. So if you are a React Native developer, you would definitely enjoy this.
Yeah,
Expo,
right, right.
yeah. So
Also, is it an application or
it is a mobile application. So it is a mobile application which is so it is the similar concept is for WhatsApp web. So when you open a Expo website, there will be a barcode. You scan a barcode. So now this barcode will copy your code inside your laptop and your phone. The
okay,
way
okay.
WhatsApp works
Yeah,
from
yeah, it's a
barcode.
great, great
Now you
idea.
can edit it from your laptop or mobile, whatever.
It's great, great
I'll
idea.
put the link in
Yeah,
the.
please put the link in the chat. Yeah.
So that's all, guys. Please follow. Put some comments if you are liking something or you want something different, or if the length of video is too short or too long. Put it in the comments. Subscribe. Also follow us on the Twitter with at like JS Trends. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
Yeah. Thank
Okay.
you.
Cool. Thank you, Atishay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye.